If you're looking to make a change, to get improved performance, improve your sleep, and help you with your weight loss journey, try Optimum Day and Night. Make a change as soon as you can.
And that's exactly why I'm so excited to tell you that Optimum Day and Night has had a major upgrade. And these have been a real game changer in my health journey. Optimum Day helps your metabolism burn throughout the day, and Optimum Night helps you get a really good sleep throughout the night.
And here's some real life proof on screen right now. Both Robbie and Michael Owen teamed up with Oxford Natural for their wellness journey, and you can see the results for yourself.
And remember, the supplements don't replace a healthy lifestyle, they support it. So if you're looking to make a change, click that link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen and get 70% off your first order today. So let's get straight into the Tottenham update. We have got a here we go to talk about, but first and foremost, let's talk about the actual completed deal, and it is for Yang Minhyeok. He has joined.
That's why everyone's here. That's why everyone's here.
Confirmed deal. Spurs have announced it this morning. He goes on loan, and third player in as many years to go to Westerlo on loan. And yeah, we wish him the best.
And I think it's been a good club for us to send players to. I think Vuskovic developed really well there. Devine has gone on to, become a pretty decent player. He's now gone to the Championship. So hopefully Yang Min-hyuk can do the world of good. And let's see what the year does for him. And let's see, for the upcoming season, when he comes back, if how much he's improved. Because I think, I think this has been a really good club for Spurs to be sending players to. So good luck to him. I think there is talent there, but at the moment he is extremely raw. I think he's been very underwhelming in pre-season. He's clearly got a lot of work to do. So I think Westerlo is a good place for him.
Yeah, so that's a done deal. Another deal which looks like it's pretty much done, and that is Djed Spence. We got those words from Fabrizio Romano. He has said, Djed Spence to Inter, here we go. Verbal agreement in place now with Tottenham for England right wing back. Transfer fee worth 31.5 million euros. Full agreement with Spence, who wanted the move, as revealed over the recent days. The deal is now in place. So we're just waiting for the formalities, basically, to go through all the formalities, and this will become a done deal. Very cheap for my liking. Obviously, we haven't heard of probably no potential add-ons on top of the 31.5 million, but maybe there's a sell-on fee, matching rights, maybe, who knows. But it is a very low figure for someone like Djed Spence, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a really disappointing fee. When it comes to things like add-ons, bonuses, sell-on fees, those things a lot of the time can be confirmed a bit later on when other journalists get involved and jump on the back of this news. So I think let's wait to hear. Maybe there is some add-ons included and things like that. But right now, all the news is it's definitely 31 million euros, which for my liking, it's around £10 million at the very least too cheap. I think it's a fullback in the Premier League who's Premier League proven. He's had a really good last 18 months, had a brilliant World Cup. His stock is pretty high. We even signed him for not that dissimilar fee. I mean, we are getting a profit, but it's not like a crazy profit. Yeah. We signed him, I think, 15 rising to 20 potentially, I think it was. So I don't know if he met all the add-ons when we signed him. I don't know if they've got the 20 million Nottingham Forest. But yeah, we signed him for not a too dissimilar fee. So you would expect a fee closer to 40 million would have been the price that Spurs were looking for. I'm also really surprised that no Premier League team showed more serious interest and were willing to put the money down to get him over the line, and we're forced to sell him to Inter Milan. I think it's a good move for Djed. I think it's a really good club, and I think they're going to play to his strengths. They play a wing-back system. They like their wing-backs to get forward. And in Italy, they really value the defensive side of the game. And I think they're going to love Djed Spence out there. He gets a chance to move to a big city, move to a big club with big pedigree. He's going to be challenging for, titles every season. And obviously, they've been far in the Champions League a couple times now over the past 5 years. So I can understand the appeal for Djed and the want to go there. Obviously, as a Tottenham fan, being selfish, you have to be disappointed because he's a defender who can play both sides. He was quite a valuable member of the squad, albeit not a guaranteed starting player. But as a squad player, you don't get many better than Djed Spence. Players who just come in, do the job, do a really good job when called upon, and with minimal fuss. So understand he wanted to go due to lack of potential playing time, and maybe it's a good opportunity for a bit of new scenery. But you've got to be disappointed with that fee, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I am. And, you know, you look at the World Cup he had. He was one of England's best players during the World Cup, a team that got to the semi-finals. And I thought off the back of that, there'll definitely be an inflated fee, a little bit of an inflated fee if we were to sell him. Obviously, that didn't happen. But what Djed Spence said yesterday was pretty interesting. He said that the fee that Spurs are going to get reflects what Roberto De Zerbi thinks of him. So, I mean, what do you make out of that? Like, how badly can Roberto De Zerbi rate Djed Spence? Is it an attitude thing? Is it a quality thing? Like, what is it that Roberto De Zerbi doesn't like about Djed Spence? We have spoken many times about him not, profile-wise, not being the complete right fit for Roberto De Zerbi system. Do you think that's what it is? Like,
I think as I've said about Djed Spence, I don't want this to come across as a criticism, but everything we praise about him, everything he's good at, you know, he's strong in one-on-ones, he's really good in his physical duels, he's good at like ball carrying. I think that's all really great, and I think teams can have a use for that. But how maybe De Zerbi wants his teams to play. He wants everyone to be playing as a team. He wants everyone to be linking, to be showing for the ball, passing and moving, everyone to be really high technically. When you get into the final third, pick out a player, show a bit of quality. And I feel like Djed Spence is quite an individual player. He's really good at doing his things individually. But when you're adding him to the team, I'm not saying he lets the team down or is a liability, but maybe he doesn't link well with the rest of the team on the pitch, on the ball, when it comes to, you know, doing things as part of a team rather than just getting his individual job done. Maybe that's something that De Zerbi's picked up on. I think it's something that can be coached. I think Djed Spence, ever since he's come to Tottenham, he's had to battle against a lot of adversity, a lot of people writing him off, a lot of people saying he's got attitude problems, he's not good enough, all this kind of stuff. And the way he's kind of, the mentality he showed to persevere, not give up on his kind of Tottenham dream, keep going, even at times, even that season under Ange when he was kept at Tottenham but not selected for the first few months of the season, you know, he could have got the hump, he could have got frustrated, but he didn't. He kept going, and when he got his chance, he grabbed it with both hands. But when it comes to maybe what De Zerbi wants, not necessarily as a defender, but more as just a player, maybe he's a bit too individual. That's maybe all I can think of, because I think when you come to the physical attributes, the technical attributes, I think it's all there. And I think all it needs is maybe some refining and some coaching. And I think if De Zerbi really spends some time with him one-on-one, I think he can develop him into a very, very good fullback who can be, you know, a good part of the team. So I don't know what exactly he doesn't rate about him. I think we can all agree he is lacking when we get to the final third, and his crossing's not great. I do think maybe his passing's not the best. I think he's really good physically, and he's good at holding players off, and he's good at carrying the ball. But when it comes to, you know, his linking with the other players, maybe that's a bit lacking.
Thinking maybe from his right back, maybe he wants a bit more of an inverted role, someone that can play better in those kind of spaces, like a Pedro Porro. And obviously, Djed Spence isn't that kind of player. He is more kind of on the outside and likes to bomb down that wing with his, you know, unbelievable pace. But look, yeah, it's disappointing. It's disappointing with the fee that we got, and I wish Djed all the best in his future endeavours, and hopes he goes and smashes it out at Inter, because I was so comfortable with the idea of having those fullbacks, so Spence and Porro on the right, Doggy and Robertson on the left, and I thought that was complete. But now it just gives us a bit of extra business to do in these last 3 weeks. And on that extra business, Sammy Mockbell said Spurs have already started identifying targets that can come in and replace Djed Spence. And one of the names that has been bandied around now is Daniel MUNOZ of Crystal Palace. So Paul O'Keefe says that Tottenham like Daniel MUNOZ. SZY says that he's heard MUNOZ's name doing the rounds over the last couple of days, which is an interesting one. Obviously, he's 30 years of age. He had a fantastic couple of seasons with Crystal Palace. I mean, really is a goal threat. I mean, how many goals has he scored over the last couple of years? He's been
goals and assists, yeah.
He's like been up there, hasn't he, with the best fullbacks in the Premier League in terms of output in that aspect. But there's just something that tells me that I just can't see MUNOZ coming here to kind of play second fiddle to Pedro Porro, because that's what he would be doing.
Yeah, so there's a few aspects to this deal. First of all, MUNOZ as a player, I really like him. I think he's He can run all day. He's got unbelievable stamina and fitness. He's a bit relentless on that right-hand side. He has been playing majority wing-back at Crystal Palace, but I think he showed at the World Cup he was playing in a back four and he was still putting really good level performances, was still able to get in the box and provide a goal threat. I think he scored at least one goal, maybe even two, but definitely scored a goal at the World Cup, and I thought he was showing good level of performance. So he's been linked with a lot of top clubs over the last few years. I think he's got incredible final third effectiveness. When you compare him to Djed Spence in the final third, it's night and day.
Yeah.
MUNOZ is like... He's good at crossing. I think, cast your mind back to the FA Cup final when it was when Palace beat Man City. He got the assist for the goal, the winning goal for Eze on that day. He can be a player for the big stage. He always seems to perform against the big teams as well. I like his mentality. He's aggressive. He's passionate. I think De Zerbi would love him as a person as well when it comes to that kind of aspect. So when it comes to whether he would come, he is 30. So could it be for him an opportunity to join one of the big six, a big payday as well, a chance to join a club as big as Tottenham? Now, there's reports that Palace are willing to let him go. They've already signed his replacement, Kalili, from Union Saint-Gilloise, so he's going to be playing wing-back for Palace, and the reports are Everton are interested, and apparently Palace are willing to let him go for as little as £20 million, which would obviously be good for us because that's less than what we've just got for Djed Spence. So if you're Daniel MUNOZ, obviously you've got Everton there who will probably give you a first choice berth, and you can play week in, week out. But obviously if you join Tottenham, yes, your playtime will be limited this season, but next season, if they get in Europe in the Champions League, all of a sudden you're going to be getting regular game time. And obviously one injury to Porro, I know he never gets injured and he's so reliable, but one injury to him and all of a sudden you're starting right back at a club like Tottenham. So it depends how he sees things. If I can understand the reservations he would have, because Porro just never gets injured, does he? And we're only got one game a week this year, and Porro's so durable. He's obviously going to be our first choice. He's just signed a new contract. So if his ambition is, if he's leaving because he wants to play week in, week out, and he wants to compete for big things, but while being, the main defender, then maybe he'll reject it. But if he wants to leave because he wants to go to a bigger club and maybe get a bigger payday, and maybe, one conversation from De Zerbi can convince him, I wouldn't rule it out. And he is 30.
He's a very good player, don't get me wrong. He is a very good player, but in the Premier League, he's rarely played in a back four, hasn't he? It's always been in a back three in a wing-back system under Oli Glasner. It's also worth pointing out that Nottingham Forest have also been linked to Daniel MUNOZ this summer, and that's a deal that just makes sense, doesn't it? Tried and tested for Oli Glasner. He knows that he works in that system, and he's worked unbelievably well in that system. Which brings us on to kind of the next point, is that Neco Williams has been linked to us earlier on in the window, saying that Spurs have already put out inquiries. There was rumours that he was going to sign a contract. That contract hasn't been signed, and there's 3 weeks to go to the start of the season. So I kind of feel like the way this is going to go is that MUNOZ will go to Nottingham Forest and we're going to pick up Neco Williams.
That is, I think, my preference, because I think Nico is a bit more settled in possession. He's obviously a bit younger, can play both sides off the back of a really good season as well. I think he's also pretty good in the final third, much better than Spence. And I think he's probably a bit better defensively than MUNOZ, or maybe more of a trusted player defensively because he's played in that back four.
And also, just like Spence, he can play left or right equally as well.
Exactly, so he's versatile. So I would prefer Nico if given the option. I think Nico would probably be a bit more expensive than MUNOZ. I think Palace will probably command a bigger fee, probably bigger than what we've paid for Spence. So if we're looking to, if we're selling Spence and then spending more on Nico, that would be a bit disappointing. So maybe if we go for the cheaper option than MUNOZ. I think there are two good options there. I think what you're saying does make sense. I think Glasner knows him, he's cheap. They make a profit if they sell Nico, and then we get the player that we want. But the only thing is MUNOZ maybe more willing to play second fiddle at his age, at his stage of his career, than maybe Nico is a bit younger. That's maybe something.
The thing is with Neco Williams, there's going to be more opportunities for him as well because he is versatile. At least with MUNOZ, it is only like one position and that's it. And I know we've got options on the left-hand side as well. But still, it's two positions that he can play.
He's got two opportunities, but as you said, we've got two left backs already, so he's third choice. potentially third choice on the left. But so I think the options are going to be very similar for him. He's going to be battling with Porro. He's probably
potentially with the doggy as well. We don't know what's going on with the doggy. He could potentially leave as well.
If that happens, then fair enough. But right now he's here, so and I think it's unlikely he'll leave, but he might do if that could happen. And then all of a sudden Nico makes a lot more sense. So either way, I would prefer Nico if it was up to me. But I do like the idea of MUNOZ, and I think it makes a lot of sense. I think he also provides us a bit of a different option at right back if De Zerbi wants to stretch the play a bit more, get a right back on who will bomb down the right, be like a second winger almost, and really stretch oppositions and really get players out wide. Also, maybe if he wants to play a different kind of winger on some occasions, like let's say Decky gets fit and he wants to play him one game, coming on the right, and then you've got MUNOZ on the outside, just gives us a bit more variety. So I think MUNOZ for 20 million, I wouldn't say no. I think it's a good deal. But in my preference, even if it costs a bit more, I would go for Nico if we can.
It's interesting as well. Like if you had MUNOZ and Porro on the right hand side, that's like two of the best right backs in the Premier League, competing for a space over the past couple of years anyway. And you look at Daniel MUNOZ. Could it be a potential idea in De Zerbi's head that, depending on who the opponent is that we're coming up against, then he might even favour MUNOZ over Porro in some certain games.
There might even certain games he might be an option at right wing even. Like that could be something. I don't obviously want to sign him as a winger, but I'm saying that could be something that he considers if we're some occasions where we're away at home from home at a big team and we're winning and he wants to shut it down. You put MUNOZ on a right wing and all of a sudden he's a threat going forward and he can double up on the winger as well. So that could be an option. So 100%. I definitely think there will be games, and there'll be games even you could play both. You could maybe switch to a back three and MUNOZ becomes a wing back, and maybe even tuck Porro inside and he becomes a bit of a quarterback and MUNOZ can stretch the play. So I think it gives us really good variety. I think MUNOZ is a great player. Obviously at 30, he's probably a short-term option, but I mean, when you watch him play, he doesn't really show signs at the moment of slowing down. He's just probably had one of his best seasons. He looks like he can run all day and all night. So yeah, he's probably not going to be here for longer than 3 years. But I think for now, he'd be a really good option as backup fullback.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to bring up his goal contribution stats. So last year he got 4 goals, 3 assists. The year before he got 4 goals, 5 assists. And the year before that he got no goals and 4 assists. So he's always getting a minimum of 4 assists a season, which is fantastic.
The only maybe concern I would have is if we're playing MUNOZ and Robertson on the same team. I think both of them obviously aging fullbacks. I don't think it's like a major concern, but that's just something at the back of my mind. Like, do we have all of a sudden 2 wing backs who are maybe aging? Both could potentially be got at on the pitch on certain occasions if that comes to pass. So that's a slight
Daniel
concern.
MUNOZ is very physical though.
Yeah, he is
very physical. So I wouldn't worry about, maybe in a year or two I'd worry about that with MUNOZ, but not just yet, in my opinion. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Kuti.
Just quickly, apparently, according to some people in the comments, Damasio confirmed that there's 5 million in add-ons with Spence and a 10% sell-on.
All right, that's a little bit.
So all of a sudden, that fee could rise to close to 35 million and a 10% fee with sell-on.
That's euros, by the way. So 35 million euros, what 30? It's still low, in my opinion.
It's still low, but it's a bit more palatable than what it was. What was reported.
Kuti Romero, Himothy saying that he understands that Atletico Madrid are closing in on agreement with Tottenham now for Romero, with the final details left to be sorted. Barcelona have not entered the race. So, it looks like this one could come to a conclusion pretty soon as well. Maybe even with Romero, you get a here we go by the end of this week, I would say.
I don't know if you saw yesterday on Instagram, he posted a picture with, I don't know who it was, a family member or a friend wearing an Atletico shirt. I don't know if that was an accident.
It wasn't actually an Atletico shirt, but it was Atletico colours. And I'm saying that could not have been a coincidence.
Yeah.
That was definitely not a coincidence. So how is everyone's wearing like normal clothes to go out with, and this random guy in Atletico colours? I'm telling you, that was not coincidence.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think, he decided to post it for a reason, I would say.
He's very calculated on social media, Romero.
Yeah, it's true. So, look, if we can get fees for Spence and Romero through the door, surely that could accelerate it. I mean, obviously we're looking to replace Spence, but hopefully getting these fees will help with getting our attacking signings. Obviously, that's still a major concern. We're still, at this moment, doesn't look like we're any closer to someone coming in. We the links are still, at the moment, not advanced, it seems, on the attackers. So we need the money for Romero. Every little helps, but it's coming to a conclusion, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. Another player who could be on his way out is Souza. There's been a report from Santi Auna says that Tottenham fullback Souza is a priority target for Porto. Porto hoping to make progress over a potential deal soon for the player. So are we really supposed to believe that we're going to get rid of Souza, Udogie and Spence all in the same window? What is this?
Well, I think we heard a report from Edward Burgess that De Zerbi likes Souza and wants to put blind faith in him, which doesn't make sense. I don't think De Zerbi does blind faith. He likes to see what he's impressed with. He doesn't want to go on anything other than what he sees. So I never really believe that. I think Souza will leave. I don't think Udogie will leave. I think right now we're open to offers, but I don't think we're going to get an offer that's going to be sufficient for us to sell him. So I don't think Udogie goes. I think he stays, but I think Souza will go because he ain't going to get any game time.
Is this a sufficient offer these days? Because I thought this was well below a sufficient offer for Djed Spence.
Correct,
And
but we're not looking to sell Udogie in the same way we are with Spence. I don't think Udoggie's looking to leave in the same way maybe Spence is. And I also think De Zerbi rates him. The problem with Udogie is not that we don't like him, it's that his injuries, and that is obviously a concern, and that means that if we get a good offer, we'll be open to it. But Spence, I think it wasn't we wanted to sell him because we didn't really want him, and he wants to get first team football, so maybe that lowers the price a bit. For Udogie, I think it would have to be a bit more because we like him and we want him to stay.
Yeah, but I just don't know because I can't remember who the report was from saying that, he was untouchable and now he's not untouchable. Maybe there is a lot of concern about, he hasn't played a minute in pre-season yet. Mm-hmm. So maybe De Zerbi's thinking about it being like, oh, maybe we should just cut our losses here because I need people I can rely on. And Udogie, can we actually rely on him?
I mean, that is a concern. And if it is the case, I don't think we rely on Souza.
No, 100%. But 3 to go in the same window is just mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, it's not really a surprise if Souza leaves, is it?
Yeah. I mean, we don't really know. We brought him in. We've seen, about 5 minutes of him. Maybe he started one game, I think. And actually, from what we've seen, he's actually been quite decent. So
yeah,
we don't actually know what people think about him behind the scenes.
Well, he hasn't played too much in pre-season. He played one under-21 game, didn't he?
Yeah, apparently he was ill. That's why he didn't go on the tour.
Mm. I just don't... I mean, with all the talk of De Zerbi wanting Prem experience, he wants players he can trust, I just can't see him wanting to keep Souza.
Yeah, me as well. But, so if we sell all these 3, we'll be left with Andy Robertson, Pedro Porro.
Correct.
That's it.
And so we want to sign one.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to sign 2, surely.
Yeah. I don't think we sell Udogie. I don't think so. I think even if we want a low offer, I don't think that offer comes right now with his injury problems.
Yeah,
so I don't think he goes.
In terms of incomings, brought you the news last night on Flo Balogun. There's been some more reports today regarding Balogun. Santi Auna says that Folarin Balogun has given the green light to join Tottenham. No official offer yet, but discussions are progressing between the various parties. However, Fabrizio Romano says several clubs have called over recent days for Balogun, including Galatasaray and Saudi clubs informed on the deal conditions from Monaco. Nothing concrete or advanced with Tottenham at this stage. And then on his YouTube channel, he said, at this moment, there are some options in the Premier League for Balogun, but Tottenham are not one of those clubs. Galatasaray is also interested in the player, but reaching a financial agreement under current conditions doesn't look very easy. Let's see how the process unfolds. However, one thing is certain, there is serious movement on the Balogun front. At this stage, the club, Tottenham are not one of the clubs. So he was pretty certain about Tottenham not being in for Balogun at this stage. And then Himothy has said that he understands that Tottenham have held talks with Balogun's camp today. He doesn't know the level of interest. And in his opinion, Gakpo and Savinho are still the main two priorities. And Paul O'Keefe has said there is no truth in these reports from about Balogun to Tottenham Hotspur. So a lot of conflicting reports here about Balogun and Tottenham, which camp are you in?
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that the media has used Tottenham's name to drum up interest in a player, so that wouldn't surprise me. I get the feeling that he's not our first choice, but we are sounding him out in case he's a fullback option, I reckon. I think there is interest. I don't think we're advancing at the moment. I don't think we're going for him. I reckon there is truth to the fact that we're maybe sounding him out just in case we want to push the button on him in case other deals fall through, and then we can go for him. So I think I think there's probably truth to both. I don't think there's anything advanced. I don't think we've made an offer. But I wouldn't be surprised if we have maybe spoken to his camp just to see how much interest there is. I wouldn't be surprised if he has given the green light to come to Tottenham and said, look, if you come in for me, I will go to you. I will sign for Spurs. So I reckon there could be a truth to everything, to be honest. But I just think right now, I reckon Tottenham are concentrating. I mean, if it is true, what if my theory is true that we are maybe going for other targets and then having on the back burner, that would be a bit frustrating only because why haven't we moved those other targets yet? Why aren't we? Why is nothing advanced? What are we waiting for? But anyway, that's a separate issue. I like Balogun. I think he is a good striker. I don't think he's like an elite striker by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he is a striker who has a pretty decent goal-scoring record, has played well against some big clubs as well, had a really good World Cup. He's full of confidence right now. I was looking at his recent record. Like since February, he's scored 14 goals in his last 17 games for club and country, including World Cup, Champions League, Ligue 1. So all at a fairly decent level as well. So this is a guy coming into his own at the moment, maybe finding some really good rhythm. I think he's got a lot of attributes that would really help us. His pacing behind, good movement. I think his finishing is of a decent quality. I think he's an inconsistent finisher, but he gets himself a lot of chances. But look, he's not an elite striker. He's one of those where he could easily get you 10 to 15 goals. But he will also miss probably lots of good chances, and a lot of fans he'll probably get mixed opinion. I don't think he's a player that everyone's going to fall in love with, but I think he could be a player that's good enough to be a goal scorer under De Zerbi. So I'm not like mad, I'm not like crazy over it, but I'm not also, I can understand the logic. Like I think he is a good striker, and I think the price we're talking about, 60 million euros. For a goal scorer in this current market isn't like outrageous. I know it's pretty expensive. I mean, boy, you're talking about £54 million. Look, it is expensive, but I think in this market there just aren't lots of strikers out there we can get.
I'm looking at it and like, for me, is he not like just of similar level to what we've got right now in terms of Richarlison and Dominic Solanke? Like they've all put up similar numbers in previous season before. Like Balogun got 13 league and goals last season. Solanke, Richarlison got like 12. You know, there's not worlds away, and obviously Richarlison's playing in the better league. So in terms of being an out-and-out goal scorer and being able to get goals in the De Zerbi system and whatever, like surely Solanke and Richarlison could probably do that as well. You know, you've said previous times, 10 to 15 goals these guys can get. So is there any point going from these guys to Flo Balogun?
I think he's faster. I think he can exploit space a lot better than those players. I also think he's more reliable, potentially fitness-wise. Although I say that, 2 seasons ago he did miss a lot of the season for a shoulder injury. So obviously that has to be in consideration. But last season he played quite a bit. I think he offers something different from a profile. Yes, goal scoring. I've always said Rishi and Solanke, both fully fit and both at their best, can get us 10 to 15 goals, 10 goals each, and they're both capable of getting 10 to 15 goals. I don't have an issue with that. The problem we have is I think physically Richarlison has declined and he's aging as well. So I also think from a quality standpoint, with his first touch and that kind of stuff, he can do the upgrading. But look, we know he's a poacher. We know he can get goals. I don't have a problem with his goal scoring. And we know with Solanke at the moment, the big issue with him is, first of all, he's there's something
mentality.
Yeah, there's something maybe missing with the mentality at the moment. That can change obviously, but right now he seems to be, there's a lack of fire in him, and obviously he seems to have very dodgy ankles and they seem to be breaking down constantly, and there's something injury problem. Although previously we did sign him as a player who played all 38 Premier League games, so he is capable of staying fit for a whole season. But since he's been at Tottenham, there's been big issues with his fitness, and a lot of people are saying can we rely on him? So we don't necessarily need a better striker than what we've got. We just need a more reliable player who can get the goals and be more available. I'm not sitting here saying we 100% quality-wise need better than Richarlison and Solanke. Obviously, I'd love that. I want that. But I'm not saying we necessarily need to do that to be a good team. We just need someone to be there scoring 10 to 15 goals and being a good part of the team. Could Balogun do that? Yeah, potentially could.
I think from what we've seen at Tottenham, we do need someone that's better than what we've got in the number 9. We're talking about going on to the next level, the start of this new project. We need better quality up front, and Richarlison and Solanke have been part of the problem, where we talk about fitness and everything like that, but it's a quality issue as well. It's not just about availability.
I disagree. We haven't had Solanke and Richarlison fit the both together pretty much ever since they both come here. If we had both strikers over the last 2 years, right, fit for most of the time, I think we'd be talking about them in a different way. Not to say that we don't need better or want better. Of course I want better. But I'm saying going into next season, if we're looking to maybe challenge for where we want to be Champions League, obviously if we want higher ambitions, do I want an Osimhen? Do I want a Lautaro Martinez? Do I want a Julian Alvarez? Do I want... look, I knew even Balogun, he wouldn't be my first choice. I think there are better strikers out there. I'm just saying, I think Balogun can come in and do a job for us, and he can score enough goals for us to get us where we need to be for next season, which is challenging for Champions League. I think he could do that, and I don't think when it comes to Rishi and Solanke, like their quality is I think if they're both fit and firing, I don't think it's bad having them both fit. The problem is we can't rely on them, so we need to improve. We need to step it up. From what we've seen, when Richarlison plays, he does score goals, and his per 90 numbers are pretty strong. Solanke, when he first came, he was good. And he was a good striker, and something's happened to him, whatever, we might need to move on. But I don't think it's because he's a bad player. I think it's other factors. So, look, I just disagree on that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, that's just kind of where my head is at in terms of this new squad that De Zerbi's building. I feel like we need better. If we're going to move on and make new signings, we need better than what we got. And I'm just not sure if Folarin Balogun is that much better than what we got, if better at all. So look, we'll see. And
if he's just more available, though, does that not make him better?
It makes him better from an availability standpoint, but I'm talking about from quality-wise as well. Like, you need to up the quality in the squad as you move on.
I understand that, but already if he's more available and he gets more and he can get the goals, that's already an upgrade, just on that pure fact.
Yeah, I mean, look, if he was to come in, I'd obviously back him and support him to the highest level, but I don't know. There's just something about it that's just very underwhelming. It's
because he's a former Gooner, isn't it?
Probably. But it's just an underwhelming signing if we were to bring him in. Like, you're looking at the names and the money that we've been spending in the midfield and stuff, and you bring in Folarin Balogun, it is just underwhelming.
Yeah, he's not the big name that we all want, but doesn't mean he can't be good enough. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. I don't think he is. I think his goal scoring record out in France. Look, I understand. You look at last season, it was pretty good for his minutes to goal contributions. His first season at Reims was really good. Then there's 2 seasons in between where he was like suffering with a bit of an injury. His actually goals to games is still fairly good. So I think he's been pretty consistent when he's been on the pitch for Monaco. And you watch him in the Champions League against some of the big teams, and he frightens the life out of them. He can be a handful, an absolute handful.
Well, we'll have to just agree to disagree on this one. But like I said, if we bring him in, I'll completely back him and see where it goes. But look, what will make my mind up on Balogun? If we sign him, he scores at the Emirates and he goes on to the home fans and shushes them, then Balogun will be in my good books.
I think our approach is correct. He shouldn't be our first choice, but I think we should sound him out. That's kind of my feeling. He wouldn't be my first choice. There are other strikers out there I'd rather go for. But I think if we can't get those over the line or whatever, we decide not to go in that direction. I think Balogun is a viable option, is my only point.
Another interesting point, though, on this update is saying that Galatasaray, Fabrizio Romano is saying that Galatasaray are sounding out Balogun as well. And another update that we've had today on Victor Osimhen is from Sasha Tavaleri saying Al Hilal have inquired about Osimhen and Galatasaray are open for a sale this summer of 65 million euros.
Didn't hear Tottenham mentioned in that.
No,
update.
Tottenham were not mentioned in that update. However, if they are open for a sale, Spurs need to be doing everything that they can to get this guy over the line. Why else would Galatasaray be sounding out another striker?
Yeah, but why is the link to Al Hilal? Why do you think that is?
Well, no one says Osimhen wants to go to Al Hilal. It's just Al Hilal want Victor Osimhen.
but why is no one else in for him? But why is Al Hilal in for him?
Well, hopefully Spurs are in for him, but we haven't.
But think about it logically. He's on these massive wages with low tax. Now, who can afford that?
Tottenham.
No, not Tottenham. Saudi. Saudi is the only teams. Otherwise, you would have a lot of other teams interested in him. I'm not saying we shouldn't. Obviously, I'd love Osimhen. I would love him at the club. I think we should definitely explore it. I reckon, I've got a feeling they are exploring it. I've got a feeling they're looking into it, and they may be having conversations to see if there's something that can be done. I've just got that feeling because he's the only kind of elite striker in Europe who's not out of an elite club. I can't think of too many that are. So Tottenham would be silly not to at least explore that opportunity just to see what's possible. But I think the only serious link we're hearing is Al Hilal. I think there's a reason for that because they may be prepared to pay the wages, maybe even give him an increase potentially to go there. And obviously he's at Galatasaray because he refused to take any less than what he thought he was worth, and what he thought he was worth was these massive, massive wages, which even priced out the likes of PSG and Chelsea. So if Saudi, the Al Hilal, the only team currently interested, that might give you an inkling that he wants to keep his wage at the moment. Now, if he's prepared to drop that wage, he's prepared to come down to the Premier League, and he's prepared to come to Tottenham out the Champions League, and all that lines up, we should go for it. I'm not saying we shouldn't. We should 100% go for it. I just got a feeling there's a reason why we're hearing Al Hilal.
I don't think this link gives you any inclination of what Victor Osimhen wants. It gives you an inclination of what Al Hilal wants, and with Osimhen's history of what he's done with his wages, going to Galatasaray instead of a Chelsea and a PSG, then obviously you add 2 and 2 and make whatever number you can, and you put Al Hilal's name in the press, and maybe Al Hilal are interested because of that situation and they think it's a realistic option for them. But there's no inclination at all of what Victor Osimhen wants to do as his next step.
No, there's no. We don't know yet. We don't know if he wants the next step. He might stay.
Yeah.
But you would when. The only reliable journalist at the moment, Sasha Tavaleri, is saying right now the club interest is Al Hilal, and that tells me that maybe whoever's been speaking to sounding out Osimhen behind closed doors, the only one that made approach seems to be the one from Saudi. We're not hearing about any other team making an approach. Why is that? Obviously, you hear all these players have camps and agents, and there's always this backdoor stuff going on and all these conversations. So if a team's going to make an approach, then that's because they've got an inclination that a deal can be done. Why is it that the only one is Saudi?
But it doesn't always work like that. Look, like Saudi went big for Iliman Ndiaye and he ended up rejecting them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't always work out like that. Just because of stories in the press, it means that they've had conversations behind and they've, sounded out, and he's kind of open to going there and stuff. So it doesn't always work out like that.
Yeah, I think you're just living on hope at the moment.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep living on hope until this deal's completely dead. I want Osimhen desperately.
Me too.
Desperately. And, De Zerbi spoke about a bomber, whether it was real or not, whatever. This guy is the only thing that makes sense in terms of a massive signing in the number 9. He is.
I pray that you're right. I want Osimhen as much as the next person. I want him as much as anyone. I would pay the wages. It's not my money. I would pay the wages. But I can't see it.
And then last but not least, let's talk about Cody Gakpo. No real new information on Gakpo, but we'll bring it to you anyway because there's a report from Ben Jacobs saying that Tottenham like Cody Gakpo, one of the several options they're looking at for a more versatile attacker. Liverpool's perspective is that it's wrong time to negotiate first. For this one, Liverpool have to bring in not just 1 but 2 attacking-minded players, and then maybe the situation could change. Tottenham are prepared to move for him, but it's still at a much earlier stage than Savinho. As a source told me a few weeks ago, it's a fool's errand to start negotiating right now with Liverpool for Cody Gakpo because they're going to reject anything until they bring in some reinforcements of their own. We know that they're at the negotiation table for Bradley Barcola and Ibrahim Mbaye, but yeah, haven't heard anything of anything progressing over the last couple of days. So yeah, another one that's probably going to rumble on.
Yeah, but what we are hearing at the moment is that Ferran Torres seems to be set for PSG, and that's getting closer and closer.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then maybe that...
Got the here we go soon on that one.
Yeah, so maybe that could be one of the first dominoes to fall when it comes to the prospective deal. So let's hope there's some movement there. But as I say, with him and Savinho, as I've been mentioning, it is a big worry that we're waiting for all this stuff to happen while we're sitting here and just hoping that it does so we can swoop in. But it could be worth the wait, and I hope it is. I hope Tottenham know what they're doing, and I hope we get them both over the line. I just hope we're not sitting here in a couple of weeks scrambling for all our other targets and getting someone else because these ones are falling through.
Yeah.
But I do think Savinho and Gakpo are two of the best that we can get at the moment, in my opinion.
I do agree with that. So let's see how that one progresses. But that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories that we have brought you today.